Hello and welcome back to Mastering Flat Design. In this lesson, we're going to get started on the next section, our main content section, which is basically going to have two large blocks of information. On the left, we're going to have a block of information about our web and graphic design services, and on the right, we're going to have a block of information about our video production services. So we're going to get started in this video by throwing down the background. So let's turn on our guides, Command H or Control H on a PC. To turn on our guides. I also want to place a guide at the bottom of our content slider because this is going to be nudged right up against that slider. So I'm going to right click on the slider background, click on rectangle 1, and it will select that layer. Once that layer is selected, we can drag down a ruler or a guide from the top ruler, and it should snap to the bottom of the selected layer like so. So then I'm going to collapse the content slider folder here. And I'm going to create a new folder, double click on that folder name, and we're just going to call it main content. So let's drag the main content folder just below the content slider folder. Don't accidentally drag it inside, make sure you drag it below it. And then we'll start putting our background inside this main content folder. So I'm going to create a new layer inside that folder. We're going to select our rectangle tool. And then for the fill color, I'm going to choose a medium green color with a hex value of A3D178. Enter to apply that. And there we go. I'm not going to apply a stroke to this. This is just going to have a fill. And we'll start in the upper left-hand corner here. And I'm going to drag it down and to the right. And I'm going to have it snap to the center guide here. So it should be 500 pixels wide. And I'm going to drag it down until it's 345 pixels tall, right there. And there we go. So I'm going to create an identical rectangle just to the right of this, but it's going to be a darker shade of green. So I'm going to hit V to switch to the Move tool, and then we can easily make a copy of this by holding on to the Option key or the Alt key if you're using a PC, and then click and drag to the right, and that will drag out a new copy. So I'm going to hold on to Shift as I drag it to the right so that it doesn't move up and down, and then I'm going to snap it into place right here. Then with this new copy, I'm going to double click in the thumbnail area of that layer and then change the color to a darker shade of green with a hex value of 8EBE5F. So it's just a slightly darker shade of that same green color. So in the left section, again, we're going to have some information on web and graphic design with a little bit of text. On the right, video production, and then a little bit of text. And then we're going to have two large icons, one in each section. And we'll walk through the creation of those icons in the next video. For now, let's just place our text. So I'm going to hit T to switch to the text tool. I'm going to click over here in the left square, and I'm just going to type out web ampersand graphic design. Obviously, that's completely illegible as is. So let's go up to our font settings, and we're going to choose the Acme font here, and we're going to set that to 30 point, and we're going to make it white. So we'll change the font color there to white so we can actually see it. And there we go. V to switch to the Move tool, and we can move that wherever we please. I want it to be centered within this area. So I'm going to make sure that both that web and graphic design text layer and control click on this rectangle 2 layer down here, make sure both of those are selected. And then with our Move tool selected, we're going to click to align horizontal centers, and that should nudge the text into place. Then I'm going to create a new layer above the web and graphic design layer, and this is going to be another text layer. I'll hit T to switch to the text tool, and let's change the settings here. This is going to use the Centany font, so we'll start typing that in here. It's going to be Centany regular, and we're going to set this to a smaller size of 14 point. There we go, and I want this to be 420 pixels wide, so we'll click and drag out until we have 420 pixels. And you'll see it's trying to snap into place, and it won't let me get to 420. So I'm going to leave it there, zoom in, and then we should be able to fine tune it once we zoom in. And there we go, 420 pixels. That didn't quite work. Let's try again. 420, there we go. Okay, so let's zoom back out. Command 1 to zoom back out to 100%, and then we can put our text here. Now I'm just going to put some dummy text here. So one way we can do that is we can come up here to the Type menu and click on Paste Lorem Ipsum. And this will work if you're using Photoshop CS6 or later. I can't remember if it works on CS5, it might, but just go to the Type menu, and if you have this option there, then you can do it. We'll click on Paste Lorem Ipsum, and that'll paste our text for us. And I don't need this much text, so let's get rid of some of it. We'll just keep the first couple of lines here, and then we'll grab the rest and start deleting it. A quick way to delete it is just to expand the height of the text field, and then just start grabbing big chunks of this and deleting it until we get down to about there. And then we'll resize this back to where we had it. And there we go. So this is 420 pixels wide, this text field, and the background is 500 pixels wide, which means that there should be 40 pixels of padding on the left and the right. So one way we can align this properly is hit V to switch to the Move tool, drag it to the left till it snaps to the left edge there, and then Shift right arrow key 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it's properly aligned. So then we'll grab both of these text layers, the Lorem Ipsum and the Web and Graphic Design layers, and we're going to nudge it all the way down to the bottom until it's just touching the bottom of that background, and then Shift up arrow 1, 2, 3, 4 times. And now we have it positioned how we want it to be. So with both of those layers still selected, I'm going to hold on to Option or Alt if you're using a PC, and then just click and drag to the right while holding on to Shift to keep it from moving up and down as well. So we'll drag it over until it's nudged up against the left edge of this darker green area, and then Shift right arrow 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and there we go. So then we're going to change the text here to video production, and then we'll need to recenter this text. One way we could have avoided that is we could have made this text field centered. In other words, we would have centered the text up here. So now the text is centered within that text field, and then centered it within the green background. And then when we made a copy of it and moved it over, it would have stayed centered when we changed the text, but we didn't do it that way. So we're going to have to center both of them. So let's grab this Web and Graphic Design text here, and then hold on to Shift, right click on the green background and click on that so that both of those layers are selected. And then we'll align those horizontal centers again. And then we'll do the same thing with video production. We'll right click on that and then click on video production, and then hold on to Shift and right click on the green background and click on rectangle to copy so that both of those layers are selected, the video production layer and the background layer, and then we'll align the horizontal centers there. And now we have, let's move this over a little bit. If we turn off our guides there, now we have the background and the text for our content layer. And in the next video, we'll get started creating some large icons to go above the text. So let's save our file as flatdesign09.psd. And in the next video, we'll get started with our icons. So thank you for watching.